So in this video, we'll just be unboxing and taking a first look at this Sony smart speaker, or rather wireless speaker, because it does not have any kind of smart assistant built in to the speaker itself, which is a little bit unfortunate in my opinion. So if you want to use this with a voice assistant, you still need another speaker like a Nest Home Mini or one of the Amazon smart speakers. Work with both Amazon A and also Google Assistant, and have Chromecast, Bluetooth, and also line level input in the speaker itself. So there's plenty of ways you can actually play music from this little speaker or listen to podcasts or whatever you're into. I did get this speaker relatively inexpensive. I paid like $70-ish for this because I have a cellular description on my phone that I just upgraded, and they had like a deal on this specific speaker here and other speakers as well, and other phones and headphones and so on. But this one just caught my attention because I kind of want a little bit better speaker inside my living room. I do have two home Nest Mini speakers set up in stereo pairs, but they don't really play all that loudly. I do have a soundbar which also have Chromecast built in, but I kind of like to have a separate speakers to just play music in the background, so it won't like take up my soundbar. If I wanted to have stuff running on my TV, it's nice to just have the soundbar always connected to that. Of course, if I really wanted to crank up the volume, I would just use my soundbar, but like I said, for just background music, maybe a little bit above that as well, I think this will actually be fine. It does have the 360 reality audio. I don't care about that at all. And like I said, this is a wireless speaker, and this one is the black and copper version or gold version. They also have a white version, kind of has the silver grills on the side, and the grills on the side, to my knowledge, is the treble, and it does have a full range woofer inside as well, and also two passively radiators, so it should still be able to get some lower frequencies and still sound pretty clear because of those two tweeters there on the side to get a little bit of stereo separation as well. And I kind of like the overall aesthetics. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the HomePod, but though it seems to be a little bit taller, but it does have this fabric material. Anyways, let's just have a look around the box. Not quite get it all in frame at the same time. It's a very big box here. But it does have Chromecast built in, and that's of course Chromecast for audio. So we have Wi-Fi, I believe both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz as well. And like I said, we do have Bluetooth, which is kind of nice to have. Not something I'm going to use, but if you have company over and somebody wants to connect to the speaker via Bluetooth, that's always a nice option to have. And yeah, you can kind of see all of the features here at the back. So it does support Spotify Connect. It is Wi-Fi certified, Bluetooth, Google Assistant, work with Amazon A and Chromecast built in, download on the App Store, get it on Google Play. I believe they have an app so you can set it up easily and control it and set the EQ and so on. It is also humidity resistant, but it's not waterproof or watertight in any sense, so you can kind of keep it in your bathroom or shower room or close to that area, but of course don't take it with you into the shower itself. It does have the immersive audio, so you can automatically calibrate the speakers for wherever you place it. I believe it does that automatically. Don't need to send out any kind of high frequency noise and so on. Kind of measure your room size, should just do that automatically. And like I said, I kind of like the aesthetics of the speaker here. And nothing really on this side here other than a lot of text. So let's just get straight into it and have a closer look. Actually a little bit heavier than I would have anticipated. So that's definitely nice, and let's just open up and see what we actually get here. First off, we get a lot of instructions. I don't know if you can actually see that, but very thick bag here with a lot of instructions, I guess in different languages as well. Underneath that, we do have the little speaker itself here. Oh yeah, very heavy actually. Oh, almost dropped it there. So yeah, heavier than I would have anticipated. It's kind of hard to judge on images how heavy it actually is, but it did seem a little plasticky. At least when you kind of look at it on the photos itself. But anyways, it does have a power supply built in, which is kind of nice. And let's just get rid of this box here. And let's just have a closer look at all the accessories and get a little bit closer as well here. So power cable, I live in Europe, so this is the kind of cable we use here. Two round plugs in one end to connect to your power source. And the other end here is just a figure of 8 plug, which is pretty standard. So that is definitely nice, easy to get new cables if you should accidentally damage this cable here, and I believe it is close to 2 meters in length as well. So plenty length, long rather. And then we get a lot of paperwork. Wasteful in my opinion to include so much paperwork here. Very thick stack of instructions, but I guess because they have the instructions in so many different languages, and this is the Scandinavian market where I live, so we'll have all of the Scandinavian languages as well, of course. So let's just have a close look at the operating instructions. It just goes over whatever you get in the box. Of course, depending on where you live, you'll get a power cable that is market dependent. So of course, if you live in UK, you'll get a UK power plug, in the US power plug, and so on. We do have some buttons on top and some LEDs, and of course, it explains what they are doing here. So you can kind of turn up or down the volume. I believe you can skip tracks as well, and pause the music, and you get a status icon, or status LED rather, for whatever kind of wireless function you are using. So you have that 3.5mm audio jack line level input. I really like that feature. That means you could connect, for instance, a computer to this one and just use them as a computer speaker. Or if you just have a standard or old style MP3 player, you can just hook it up directly. So it's a nice thing to have. Not sure I'm going to use it. I'm just going to hook it up to Wi-Fi and probably just stream some music. But it's definitely a convenience to have that sort of thing built in. And then you just go over the different functions, power on and off. So if you want to enable the 360 reality audio, sample your music, playback, you have to hold the play pause button for 2 seconds. You kind of try that in this video. Then of course you have an app to set it up, and you can cast using Chromecast. Very easy to get up and running, at least according to these instructions here. And you can also see here you kind of need a second device if you want to use it with your voice. So I plan to just use my Nest Mini that I have already. Just disconnect one of them. I have 2 of them set up in pair right now. Use that as my voice controller inside my living room. And then just use this as my dedicated music playing device instead of using 2 of those Nest Mini devices. Just doesn't sound all that great when you crank up the volume a little bit. And so on and so on. That's pretty much all there is. Yeah, that's kind of nice. So a lot of instructions. I guess the rest of them is just safety information. Yeah, these are just safety regulations in various different languages as well. I'm not gonna read any of those. One downside though, if you want to use 360 reality audio, you do need to have a paid subscription, and I don't believe Spotify is supported. I believe Tidal and one other service. I don't use any of those. I use YouTube Music, but you can also try it out here with a free trial, and then you have an access code here on the other side, so you can try it out. I'm not going to bother with that because it's not something I am interested in or want to use in the future, but we'll just try out those sample tracks once we get it up and running here. And let me actually get out a little bit. We can get it all in frame. Like I said, actually heavier than I would have anticipated. I like that. The speaker should be heavy in my opinion. And let's just get into it. Remove all of this packaging. And here we have it in all its glory. Actually feels very nice. You can see that fabric material here all around the speaker, which is a little bit annoying. Actually, you need to use a vacuum cleaner to really remove all of the dust there. So it's not as easy just to use a dampened cloth or something like that to wipe it over, but not really a big issue. And then we have those trebles there on the side. Actually, it almost feels like it's metal. Correct me if I'm wrong. Definitely feels like metal, but like treble in one side, treble in the other side here. So you could kind of get a little bit of stereo separation. And then on the back side there, we do have that 3.5mm input just for audio. And we do have that power plug there. So power supply built in, both good and bad. I think it's easier to manage in cables rather than having a power brick included. But of course, if something happens to the built-in power supply, it's a little bit harder to actually get it fixed or repaired. I believe I saw a photo where you could actually remove this plastic piece here, and there's like a USB plug on the inside, but maybe that's just for servicing. Nah, I'm not gonna bother actually removing that. So underneath here, you do have a lot of rubber feet here all the way around. Should also help minimize some of the vibration, and a little bit of information, of course. So this one works with 220 to 240 volt, which is what we use here in Europe. So I guess there's a different model if you actually live in the US, and does state that it consumes around 20 watt, or at least up to 20 watt there. So yeah, definitely have some weight to it. Kind of surprised me a little bit. Feels very nice and dense. Feels like high quality. And we do have a little microphone hole, I believe, here for the auto tuning feature. So it will kind of set up according to where you place it. So it will sound the best, hopefully. And like I said, you don't really need to set anything up. I believe it just runs in the background. But again, it would have been nice to see some more microphone holes here. So you can use it with Google Assistant and Amazon A. Probably would just cost a little bit more. So maybe that's why they cut it out. Then you have capacitive buttons all the way around here. There is a little LED that indicates whatever mode you are in. And then we have plus and minus here for volume. I believe you can also skip track and then play pause as well. But but I believe the top plate here is actually made of plastic. Definitely, I think this speaker is a looker. Really like the aesthetics of it. So let's just try and plug it in and set it up, then just run a speaker test afterwards. And just plug in the cable here, like so. Let's see what happens. So we did get a green LED flashing here. I don't know if that means it's in pairing mode. So I have already installed Sony Music Center. Of course, you can go to the Google Play Store or on the App Store on your iPhone and download that. So let's open it up and have a closer look. So of course we have to agree to all of those license agreements here. Let's do that and click next. Next, agree and proceed. Don't forget to register your new purchase online. Okay, we'll do that later. Currently, Bluetooth connection is unavailable since permission for nearby devices is not given. Okay, so we have to give it permission to access the nearby devices. Do not find any audio device since precise location. Okay, we have to agree to the location as well. Finally, let's try and just add a new device. So let's try and connect manually through Bluetooth and hit next. And actually I didn't really have to go in and set it up manually. It already popped up here. I just had to click the little refresh button here up in the corner. So let's just try and click on it and see it will connect automatically. You can enjoy your 360 reality audio and compatibility streaming services. Before network settings, after this, blah, 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 and setting up Google Home, of course. Let's go to Google Home and set it up there. I thought it would take me to Google Home, but no, it did not. Let's click on it again. Start the Google Home app. Restart Music Center when you have finished performing the setup. I have to manually go into Google Home. So the device showed up here. Let's just try and click on it. We are now in Google Home app. Click on the next. I had to manually search for it inside Google Home, and it is connected. Played a little sound. I did hear the sound, yes. No, I don't want to send statistics, and I want to use this for now in my living room. And should be connected to 5 GHz or 2.4 GHz. Let's just connect it to 5 GHz. And let's try and connect. So I had to try 2 times inside Google Home to actually set it up. Kept telling me it was failing at setting it up, but apparently it did set it up all right. You can see here it is connected with Wi-Fi. And it's connected to my living room, or set up in my living room. Let's just go in here and see what we can actually do. So we can of course set it to the audio in, the line level input. We can connect to Spotify. Do not have Spotify, but we can also connect to YouTube Music, which is what I am using. And inside YouTube Music, we should be able to connect to living room here. I'm not sure why it's called living room. I just told it was in the living room. Let's just try and play a little bit of song, see if that's actually the audio coming out. Yeah, it actually works. So I guess it's just called living room right now. So it works there. Let's go into settings, sound. You can set equalizer. I'll just set this to default now. So it's off. Immersive audio enhancement. You can set that to on or off. Auto volume, actually kind of a nice feature. So it will automatically adjust the volume. If a track is a little bit lower in volume, compared to the previous track, if that was a little bit higher in volume, you can have those differences in the audio, but this one should just kind of have the same output coming from the speaker, even though if the source is a little bit lower or higher. So that's kind of nice, so then don't have to constantly turn up or down the volume. There's also a little icon up there that just brings you back. Power options, auto standby, definitely a good thing to enable because save a little bit of power, of course, on the electric bill. And other settings, Bluetooth codec. You do not have any advanced codec, so you only have SBC or auto. That's pretty okay, but of course, not really the preferred method. You should listen to audio from the speaker. Definitely go Wi-Fi if you can, or directly connected with line in. There's also system sounds. Of course, if you press a button or something like that, I think you should be able to get a sound. Yeah, if you play pause, you get a little sound there. That's something you can enable and disable. System settings, of course, you can see your firmware version, network standby, and you can change the name from here. So I'm definitely going to change the name in the future. You can set it up with Amazon A right here. Privacy and policy for Sony. You can go through that if you want to. And privacy settings as well. And up here, there's a little red dot. So you can go into the information. So you can go and register it online. And you can also enable that 360 reality audio on Deezer. But you, of course, have to pay for that. Or you can use your free trial code included. I'm not going to use that in the future, so I don't really care too much. Other than that, we have voice command up here. So, of course, you can use voice command within the app, apparently. Okay, that's interesting. Play some music. I'll just take you to YouTube. Okay. Terminate connection. Power off. Add apps. What does that do? Oh, you can of course add the apps you want to use to play music. Music center settings. Some various settings for the music center itself. We have information, and then we have about as well. Version 7. And then we have help. The final step there. So pretty basic. Let's just try and hold that play pause button for 2 seconds. It does play some demo tracks. I don't know, it didn't sound all that great. Should that be 360 reality audio? Of course, I'm sitting pretty close to it, so didn't really give me any kind of 3D feeling, really. But definitely does have some low end, sound pretty clear on the high end as well. So of course, only when you play the music you're familiar with, you can really judge how it actually sounds. And let's just go through the little panel up top here. You can just switch between the different input modes, enable or disable that auto tuning feature, and of course play pause, volume up or down, and also of course turn it off. And it does have a little red LED when it's actually in standby. Let me just see if it actually turns on when you just press one of the inputs. No, it doesn't do that. You need to press it physically, the on button first. Does it remember the last input you selected? Yeah, it does seem to do so, so that's pretty nice as well. So pretty easy control here on the top, but you can of course also control it using your smartphone and the app. The overall first impression, I think it's actually pretty nice. I wouldn't want to pay full price for something like this, but considering I got it at a very low price, I'm definitely looking forward to try this out and use it as my daily music podcast listening device in my living room, just for some casual background music, or when I'm vacuuming, of course I can turn up the volume a little bit more, and maybe when we have family and friends over, we can just crank up the volume a little bit there as well to create a little bit of not only atmosphere, but maybe it's also okay for a little bit of party music. First impression, definitely I like the aesthetics, I like the look, I like the feel of the device. Feels very durable, very heavy. What I don't like is the fact that it does not have any smart assistants built in, so it still needs to have another device connected. That would just have been awesome if we could just settle with this one here. And of course, cleaning this fabric in the future, it's probably best just to vacuum it, remove all of the dust. So yeah, first impressions, I really like the speakers, and this has just been an unboxing, first look and setup video of the Sony SRS-RA3000. Of course, I can share some affiliate link down in the description below if you're interested in the speaker here. But else, that's pretty much all I have for this video. Until next time, take care.